Well, I have another day and a half of feeds opinions to get out there into the world to talk about with Big Brother 27. After Zay was voted out last night, Rachel got what she wanted. Although I feel as though Morgan put in a lot of work this past week to get Zay out of the house. So I want to give Morgan a lot of credit. So yeah, Rachel got the person she wanted out. But Morgan put in that work. She did a lot of talking since the feeds have been on. She was always pushing hard for Zay to go. Also, Catherine Cat was a pretty important part of Zay going home as well. We all know that Riley is already obsessed with her, and so that was an easy person for her to change the mind of and get Riley to vote against Zay. But also, I feel as though Kat was a very important part of Lauren voting against Zay because, as I discussed yesterday, that Lauren was really working really close with Vince and with Zach, and she was reporting to them about the girls a lot. But Lauren and Kat are very close in the game, and I think once Lauren found out the way that Kat was voting, she wanted to vote that way too. So we saw some good gameplay from a lot of the girls these past few days, which is always good to see. Um, some of the people that voted against Amy instead of Zay are kind of have had a fallout these past 24 hours, not even 24 hours, like 12 plus hours since the feeds have been back on. I think that Keanu is getting the worst of it because Keanu decided to go ahead and lie that he didn't vote for Zay to stay. He voted for Amy to stay. And it's just not a good lie. As I discussed in one of my very first videos from the feeds this season, Keanu has just been doing the most and rubbing a lot of people the wrong way, which has just grown an already big target coming into the game because of the way he looks as a person, and he's a big guy, and clearly the big guys are targets this season already from Zay, but Keanu's done nothing but make his already big target even bigger. So the lie, I don't really like it because it just wasn't going to work from him in this house with this cast. Will is someone that voted against Amy and was lying to some people about the way he was going to vote before the vote. He's took the opposite approach and kind of thrown Keanu under the bus in doing so, saying, well, of course he's not going to lie about it. He's because then you just look dumb. So he's throwing Keanu under the bus for doing that while saying to Amy and others, yeah, I voted against Amy. It was a mistake, and now I'm going to listen to the girls more often. And it seems to have worked for Will. And good for him because he could be a big target too, as the old person in the game usually is. So I like that from Will. Also, nothing really falling back on Zach. Zach's playing a hell of a better game than I want him to be playing, I think. People really seem to trust Zach. Nobody is pressing him about his vote. And he's the only person, as we'll get to with others, keeping his secret power an actual secret. He has a power to basically buy off with the 10K he won on night one to buy off an HOH and get off the block. It's basically like he has his own little secret veto. And he's kept that secret, and I appreciate that because many powers were won in last night's HOH competition, and nobody wants to keep their secret powers a secret. I ranted about this all last season, and I guess I'm going to have to do it again today. First of all, though, Jimmy did win the HOH, which is great. I love watching Jimmy on the feed still. He loves his rehearsed reads and all that. He's clearly a character half the time. When it comes to when he knows that it's going to be a TV moment, he goes into character. I don't hate it though. I appreciate that he wants to give good TV. I can't hate against that. And even outside of him putting on a character, he might be giving us good TV this week with a messy HOH. Because so many people won powers, he might be nominating a ton of people this week if they end up being able to use their powers and take themselves off the block. Because he already has to nominate 3 people to start. More than one person could be saved this week. He could end up nominating 6 total people. He's targeting Keanu, of course. They've been going at it since feeds began. And they both know that they're coming after the other. Like Jimmy said today that Keanu knows that he's going to be nominated pretty much around the same time that Keanu said to someone that he knows that he's going to be nominated. So they clearly know what's up with each other there. Now, Keanu is one of the people, though, that won one of the powers. I think his is the ability to... Let me see. I'm trying to read about the powers right now because I typed them out, but kind of forgot about them. I guess he can have a second attempt at the veto challenge. So I don't know if that means if the vetoes coming up are all going to be like time challenges where everyone has to do something at the same time. But anyway, he gets like a bonus opportunity to win a veto at the power of veto. So it's basically if he loses the first time at the veto comp, he gets a second chance to win a veto. So he could save himself this week if he is on the block. Now, another person Jimmy wants to nominate is Callie's veto. Well, Callie, and she has another power, veto-like power, that if she doesn't win the power of veto, she can have her own little competition to win a second veto, which is why I said multiple people could actually end up off the block, and Jimmy might have to renom 2 different people this week, since he is indeed going to put up Keanu and Callie, who both have a power. Callie has pretty made it... I'm calling her by her right name now. You know, for a couple videos, I was calling her Emily for no reason whatsoever. Now, I guess I have to actually learn her name because she did at least show out in the AI Arena blockbuster competition. She won that. She posed when she won. She tried to put on a crown. You know, I thought she was putting on a show there too. She said she was going to be like Tucker. And, you know, she put her money where her mouth is. I can't hate on her for that. I still think she's playing awful, and I don't think she's like Tucker whatsoever. But at least Callie was able to pull that off. But I think now that she's won a secret power, I don't think she's made it secret enough. That is a secret power. Similar to Keanu, who should have been caught in a confrontation with Rachel today about the competition. When talking to Rachel, he said that during the competition that he couldn't, because I guess he was taking Zach in one of the rooms during the competition. It was the blackout challenge, and he told Rachel that he couldn't take 2 at the same time, meaning 2 powers at the same time. But Rachel didn't seem to catch that. But I still think there are suspicions that Keanu has one of the powers as well. Now, Mickey has the main power. She has the ability to basically take control of someone's HOH secretly. And the problem is, much like last season, she already told someone that she has this damn power. And I shat all over the ugly man from last season. And I have to do the same to Mickey. This is the power that you should keep the most secret. Because keeping it secret does the most damage. Mickey told Morgan, and I get that Mickey and Morgan are basically kind of a duo right now. Nonetheless, I still think that is a very stupid thing to do. And it seems as though Big Brother put in a caveat this season that when Mickey decides to overthrow someone's HOH, if the HOH correctly guesses who used the power within 3 minutes, then the attempt to overthrow the HOH fails. So that's a good thing that Big Brother did by making... Because people don't know how to use this power. All they have to do is stay quiet, but they never seem to do that. So I am glad to see that the show at least put in that caveat to screw someone if they do unsuccessfully use the power by not keeping a secret HOH a damn secret. I was very upset that Mickey told Morgan. I don't care how close they are in the game. That is just a stupid thing to do with such a strong power like that. Anyway, these people talk way too much per usual on this show. The other person Jimmy is going to likely nominate beside Keanu and Callie is Adrian. Adrian is kind of getting some flack for not voting the right way the other night, but I'm glad that he stood on business, I guess. He said all week the way he was going to vote, and he didn't sway. And I'm glad, I talked about this yesterday, that on this show, finally, people are not just voting with the House. We have these split votes. People are voting the way that they think is best for their game. So I'm not going to shit on Adrian for doing that. Yeah, some flack is coming on him now, but right now he's just up as a pawn. He's not the target, so it's not falling back on him too strongly. Keanu and Kelly have made themselves much bigger targets. I do think Keanu is the main house target, as he became over this past week. I talked about that already, and he is still that, except this time he might actually be up on the block, but he has several ways to get off the block. Now, Zach's not the only one that is in a good position despite not voting the way that people wanted them to vote. Now, Vince couldn't vote, but he was the HOH last week, and he made some bad decisions. But like I've been saying all along, his social game is very strong. And I find Vince is in a pretty good position despite not a good HOH and none of his main targets going home. Zay going home, I do think, was probably bad for his game overall, but it didn't really hurt his position where he is right now. So I like Vince's social game. Still, there was someone else I wanted to talk about, but it's lost in my head. I mean, I already talked about how Riley's still very creepy with Kat. I don't like it. Yeah, Kat could use it to his advantage and to her advantage and make basically Riley's going to be a simp for her right now. But I still think it's creepy. Riley's just look in his eyes sometimes. Something is off with him, and I don't care how bad that sounds. I do believe that something is off with him. Oh, I wanted to talk about Ashley. Ashley is still playing very messy, but I'm still happy that she's playing her own game. Is she playing her own game badly? Yeah, today she's worried about the need to get Morgan out of the game. It's not going to happen this week with Jimmy as HOH, though. So maybe Ashley wants to put seeds this week to get Morgan out. But, I wish Ashley was just a little more concerned about her own position in the game rather than making new alliances every day and trying to get people out who she's not going to be able to get out this week. Ashley's tried to make a new alliance today. She wants to make one with Ashley and Ava and even include Riley in that. She's, I think, trying to distance... Oh, I think Rachel's going to be in that too. She's just trying to distance Morgan away from people Morgan are working with, and thus Mickey's working with Morgan, so I think Ashley's trying to distance herself from that as well. I don't fault Ashley for wanting alliances with people she feels she could be closer with, but it's getting very messy from her. I don't hate it, though. I think she's getting a lot of slack online for being messy and maybe making bad decisions, but I'll take it for now. It could eventually get on my nerves, but I just like people playing their own games. And I'm not going to hate on that too much, even though it's been very messy from her thus far. That's all for now. I'm recording this before the noms have been made. I don't know if they will be made by the time this is posted. But Jimmy still seems to be going towards Adrian and Keanu and Kelly. Keanu is the big target, but Callie could easily make herself a bigger target. Oh, I also did want to mention that Callie thinks that she's just responsible for all the fights taking place. She thinks that she caused Zay and Rachel to fight. She didn't. She thinks that she caused the Jimmy and Keanu fight. She didn't. But from winning last night's competition, her confidence is through the roof, and her ego is showing very high. But she wants to cause some havoc. She's talked about how she wants to put a used condom on someone's bed with the wrapper next to it and cause some sort of drama that way. And I would be here for Callie being a menace. Now that I have finally learned her name, I would like to see her be a menace in the house because she is at the bottom of the totem pole. And yes, it's her fault that she is at the bottom of the totem pole, but nonetheless, I would like to see her be a menace because of that.